to another episode of Good Morning KU Sports. As we wind out the month of September, we have a full slate on the agenda today that consists of all things football, a rundown on Reggie Bush suing the NCAA, an early KU basketball season preview, MLB playoffs, and even a recap of the Laver Cup tennis. Lucia is here to get you up to date on KU football, so let's get this show started.
Thanks, Addie. Our Jayhawks took another disappointing loss this Saturday as our football team lost to West Virginia 32-28. Going into the third quarter, we had tied the game and even took the lead most of the fourth. Unfortunately, no surprise on our end when West Virginia turned a 15-yard pass into a touchdown with only 26 seconds left, taking the lead. This isn't much news to us. Our Jayhawks have not been much of what they've been hyped up to be, losing previously to both UNLV and Illinois, which we were favored winning. Jalen Daniels and the rest of the boys have much to prove this Saturday as we face off against TCU in our first home game at Arrowhead Stadium, home to only the greatest NFL team of all time. Going into this matchup, we are favored to win, so we'll see what our boys bring to the field. Be sure to support your Jayhawks this family weekend, and I'll see you at Arrowhead. Now over to Jack to talk about the Auburn versus Arkansas game.
Thanks, Alicia. This past weekend, I traveled south in the Mason-Dixon to catch Arkansas at Auburn football. I was hoping to watch an Arkansas loss, considering they currently own us in both football and basketball after the Liberty Bowl and the NCAA tournament 2 years ago, but Auburn ended up falling 24-14. It was a one-score game heading into the third quarter until the Tigers tied it up with his 10-yard pass from Peyton Thorne to Keandre Lambert-Smith. Unfortunately, shortly after that, Razorbacks quarterback Taylor Green broke the game open with a 58-yard touchdown pass, followed by a 3-point field goal to start the fourth. The Tigers couldn't get the comeback done. Despite this, the tailgating in the game environment was nothing like I've ever experienced. I'm glad I had the chance to do it. Now here's Ryan with a look at the new college football playoffs.
Thanks, Jack. The 2024 college football season is in full swing, with big matchups behind us and plenty more still to come, including a titanic battle tomorrow night in Tuscaloosa between Alabama and Georgia. With the highly anticipated 12-team college football playoff debuting this postseason, I want to talk about the effect that this new structure has on the college football regular season. There are plenty of pros and cons, but I want to specifically highlight big matchups like the one we are getting tomorrow in Alabama. In prior years, if a team just lost one game during the regular season, their playoff hopes would essentially be on life support, if not completely dashed, depending on who the loss was against and when it happened in the season. In the 4-team format, no two-loss team had ever snuck into the big dance, but now there is breathing room for teams to afford 2 or even possibly 3 losses in the season, depending on how tough your schedule is, which some fans will tell you makes the regular season less dramatic. Last season, 11-0 Michigan took down 11-0 Ohio State in a thriller on the way to a national championship, while also knocking their arch rival out of the playoff picture. In the new format, not only would the Buckeyes have still been a near lock for a playoff bid, but we would have seen part 2 of the game in Indianapolis the following week for the Big Ten championship, making the result lose its luster. It also means upsets have had less of an impact than ever before. For example, look at Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois a few weeks back. In prior years, the Irish would essentially be eliminated from playoff contention with the home loss to a MAC team on its resume, but now that's no longer the case, for better or for worse. Notre Dame will still be in the thick of the playoff race as long as it doesn't drop another game, even without a possible conference championship on the table. There is an opposite side of the coin, however. With more teams fighting for one of those coveted playoff bids, there will be more games that directly impact the playoff race than any of us would have gotten in previous years. Let's take a look at the current playoff format. What we see here are the projected Power 4 champions all locking up top 4 seeds in a bye with 8 teams behind them. This gives fan bases around the country hope, even if unreasonable, that their team can truly compete for a national title, sort of like in March Madness. Even if some of the biggest matchups of the year lose their shine, with the possibility of teams like Ohio State and Oregon playing 1, 2, or even 3 times in a season, every single game will have a direct impact on the playoff race, setting up for drama like we've never seen before in college football. We still have a ton of football talk on the way, so let's head back over to Addie to keep this show rolling.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm personally pulling for Northern Illinois after that upset win against Notre Dame a few weeks back. After the break, Caden will get you up to speed on Reggie Bush suing the NCAA.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. Former USC running back and Heisman winner Reggie Bush is currently suing the NCAA, Pac-12, and USC for profiting from uncompensated use of his name, image, and likeness. Bush's team said that even after he left for the NFL, the USC and others continued to benefit financially from his NIL without his acknowledgement. This comes after earlier this year when Bush's Heisman was reinstated and USC added his jersey amongst other Heisman winners at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. In response to the suit, USC released a statement that said Reggie will always be a revered member of the Trojan family, and we were very pleased to support his successful efforts to recover his Heisman Trophy. The former running back is demanding compensation for his use of name in TV deals and merchandise sales. Another NIL controversy is underway with UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka announcing Tuesday that he will sit out the rest of the season as a redshirt and will enter the transfer portal in December. This may come as a surprise as UNLV is 3-0 on the season, along with fielding the 5th best rushing offense in the nation. Having transferred from Holy Cross this summer, Sluka's representative said that he was verbally promised a minimum of $100,000 from a UNLV head coach and only received $3,000, which apparently was only to cover the relocation costs. According to Sluka's father, offensive coordinator Brendan Marion was said to be the coach in question. UNLV will move forward with Malik Williams as the starting quarterback against Fresno State on Saturday. Next up is Luke with the KU basketball preview.
Thank you, Caden. While KU football might not be looking so hot right now, basketball season is just around the corner and the Jayhawks are yet again ranked #1 in the preseason polls. They have made a few key changes from last year and are expected to be dominant throughout the season. Bill Self's use of the transfer portal has brought in guys like A.J. Storr and Rylan Griffin and more, which should give the team the depth they need to make a deep tournament run. We'll see the return of DeJuan Harris Jr., K.J. Adams Jr., and Hunter Dickinson, who are all fun to watch when they're on the court. This season will be a good one to watch as it's a battle of the Blue Bloods this year, with KU playing UNC at home and Duke away. It will be exciting to see what the Hawks can do under Bill Self in his 21st season as the head coach. Now it's time for the NFL Top 5 Plays with Jack and Colton.
Thanks, Luke. Now we're going to go ahead and take a step back from college athletics and take a deep dive into professional sports. So Jack and I, we have the top 5 plays of Week 3 of the NFL season. So Jack's going to go ahead and take away for the first play.
We're starting it off in Carolina with Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, stepping in for sophomore quarterback Bryce Young. As you see there, beautiful pass right into the pocket. Just an electric throw.
Yeah, all I got to say is if I'm Bryce Young, I feel sick to my stomach. But hey, the Panthers got their first win, and that leads us to the 4th best play of the week. So we have the 65-yard lightning strike by Saquon Barkley, who said bye-bye to the Saints defense and the Saints' perfect record. This really ignited the Eagles' 15-12 victory over New Orleans, Jack.
Definitely one of Saquon's more impressive rushes of his entire career. But Colton, what was next?
Yeah, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm sick to my stomach that we let Saquon go, but I'm not too sick. If you take a look at the next play, you can't be too mad if you're a New York fan when you have a rookie receiver who makes plays like that. Malik Neighbors head top over Emerson Jr. on the Browns. Malik Neighbors has been by far the best rookie receiver. He really stood out as the Giants got their first win against Cleveland.
Malik Neighbors just said, "Give me that." He
yeah,
took
absolutely.
that right out of the hands of that Browns cornerback. Now into the Rams game. Notre Dame alum Kyron Williams, right out of the backfield, up the middle, takes the ball and front flips into the end zone.
Now that reminds me of a little bit of Cam Newton about 10 years ago. They're taking a book out of his page. So good play right there, but what's in store for the best play of the week?
And the number 1 play of the week, rookie Jaden Daniels, He's going to take a hit on this next play, right out of the backfield. He knows he's going to get hit, delivers a dot right up to Terry McLaurin, who gets 2 feet in the end zone and scores one of the clutchest touchdowns of the NFL season so far.
Yeah, that by far best play of the week. Jaden Daniels, rookie in Cincinnati on Monday Night Football primetime, and he made it look easy.
Made it look easy. Impressive knowing he's going to get hit. But that's all we have for the top 5 plays of the week. Now we're going to send it over to Addie.
Well, guys, it's always impressive to catch 2 rookies making our top 5 plays of the week. Stick around after the break to find out what Tyler, Zach, and Caden's predictions are for the upcoming MLB playoffs.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas. A great place to be you.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm here with Zach Newkirk and Caden Baird talking about the MLB playoffs. First off the field, Tigers will play the Astros. As of right now, there are a couple spots that can change, but these are going to be the teams that are playing outside of the Braves, who are a game back right now. But it'll be Astros versus Tigers. Royals play the Orioles. Mets play the Padres, and D-backs play the Brewers. So, Zach, we'll start with you. Tigers versus Astros. You are the only one who has the Tigers over the Astros. Give me some insight why.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in picking the teams that are hot, and the Tigers have been red hot. They've been one of the better teams since the All-Star break, and I think, the Astros are a really deep team, and I think they've got a lot of experience. But I think if they get Tariq Skubal pitching the first game for the Tigers, I think they can get that win in the first game. And then I think, in one of those other two games, I think they can pull it off. I think the Tigers are hot, and I think you got to pick the teams that are hot.
Okay.
Yeah, no offense, but I haven't been swept. It's all experience. I believe playoff experience is like just above all else when you hit the playoffs. I have Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, Jeremy Pena, who won the World Series MVP, and then Framber Alvarez, who's a beast in the playoffs. So I haven't been swept. I like to see more of a Skubal, but I don't think they have the players yet. Maybe a year out.
And I'm kind of in the middle. I have Skubal winning game one. I think they take game one from the Astros. Guy's going to be a Triple Crown winner. Mm-hmm. But then you're still in Houston. You have a very much more experienced playoff team, and I know this because of the Angels, but the last time the Tigers were in the playoffs was in 2014. So a lot of these guys have not had any playoff experience. Moving on to the other AL wildcard game, we have the Royals and the Orioles. So I'm the only one who picked the Orioles. First off, you guys want to tell me why you picked the Royals over the Orioles in this case?
So I have the Royals just because of the pitching. The starting pitching is probably the best in the MLB right now with Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo. And this is also if Vinny Pasquantino comes back to form after his broken thumb injury. So if he comes back and they have those three guys they lean on, and like the rest of the order, they kind of do what they do, I believe they can get it done in 2 games. It'll be close, but I believe this will be a close matchup. But I think Royals get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to say that both the Royals and Orioles have kind of been cold recently. But I would agree on the starting pitching. I think it's the deepest starting pitching rotation. Guys like Michael Wacha and Brady Singer at the 3 and 4 spot are still great starters. And I would agree. I think if Vinny comes back, I think chances are a lot higher for the Royals. I think he just adds depth to that batting order, and I think they hit a lot better with him there. But either way, I'm still pulling for the Royals. So, yeah.
Well, I have no ties to the Royals. That might be why I'm going with the Orioles. But Corbin Burns, game one, I have him over Cole Reagans. 1 for experience, but 2, both very good pitchers. I think games 2 and 3 are a toss-up, and that's why I went 2-1 in favor of the Orioles. Is either team can go anywhere, but the biggest stat I saw is the Royals have a bad record against teams that are under 500, or that are over 500, excuse me, and they are 38 and 44. The Orioles have a winning record, so that's why I went that way. Next game, we're going to go NL now. We have the Mets and Padres. This one, across the board, pretty simple. We all went 2-1 Padres. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just really like the Padres this season. They're the best team in the league after the All-Star break, record-wise. They have a lot of depth, great starting pitching. Dylan Cease is incredible. And, a lot of offense, too. Guys like Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. They just have a great offense, and I think, I just think they're also hot, and like I said before, I like teams that are hot. And the Mets, right? It's the Mets. They've also been hot, but I like the Padres in this one.
Yeah, I have to agree. I honestly disagree with anything you say. The pitching staff is probably top 2 in the league right now, and then there's just so much offensive firepower from Tatis to Machado. This team will pop off. I have them going pretty far in my bracket this season, so I'd be very disappointed if they break my bracket very early. How about you?
And we also mentioned the Padres, Braves, and Mets are all fighting for the last couple spots, and the Mets play the Braves a doubleheader the day before the playoffs. So whoever it is, the Mets, Braves, and the Diamondbacks are also in it. They're going to be coming off of a couple games, and I think that's not going to bode well for that team. That's why I have the Padres with a big advantage. The last game is the Brewers versus the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, this one was the toughest one for me to gauge, honestly. I think this one can go either way. This was like the best matchup. I think it's probably going to be the best to watch, just because the Arizona has the intangibles I think they hit clutch, but also they have playoff experience on this team. They're young. They also want to be back to the World Series because they did end up losing that World Series they played. But I think Milwaukee has a better top-down roster. I gave them a 2-1 victory over them in the series, and then that's despite the injuries to Yelich. So I think I think Milwaukee pulls us through.
Yeah, Yelich out for the season is not ideal for the Brewers, but I just think I think they have a better roster. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Brewers suffer a little in the starting pitching area of things, and the Diamondbacks have that playoff experience. A lot of these guys were on the team last year, and I think they can get hot. I think they're a kind of a streaky team though, so I think the Brewers being more consistent can take it down. I'll give the Diamondbacks a win, but I think the Brewers will take it 2-1.
And I second everything you guys are saying. I think the Diamondbacks are the best wild card team of the three, even though they're coming in as a 6th seed as of right now. But the Brewers just have a far better roster, and I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. Last question for the panel. Who's winning it all? We'll get to that as we keep going, but who do you have winning the World Series right now?
I have Philly finally winning. So I have them beating the Yankees in the World Series.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Guardians as of right now. I think they have the best bullpen in the league for sure. They've got a great closer, and they've been not as hot since the All-Star break, but, I really like them, and I think they might be able to pull it out.
And I have the Dodgers over the Yankees. I love Shohei. I've seen him pitch in the World Baseball Classic. He always shows out when there's pressure on. The first time he's in the MLB playoffs, but him, along with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman and company, I have the Dodgers winning it all this year. Next, we'll throw it back to Addie. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. As a Minnesota Twins fan, the playoffs are never an enjoyable time for me, as I usually turn off my TV within the first 3 innings. Next up, Colton is going to be switching it up a little bit to talk about some tennis, specifically the Laver Cup.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. Last Friday, Team World began their quest for a three-peat against Team Europe in the 7th annual Laver Cup. Now, this year's Laver Cup took place at Uber Arena in Berlin. Now, heading into the tournament, Europe did not only have the home court advantage, they definitely had the skill advantage. 5 players in the top 10 represented Europe, while Team World only had 1 player. And after a surprising shaky start for Europe, Stefanos Tsitsipas got them on the board with plays like this. So we see Kokkinakis really attacking Stefanos Tsitsipas backhand. He actually beats Tsitsipas in the first round of the US Open, but right here he tries to attack his backhand once again, and boom! Tsitsipas with that vintage one-hand backhand gets Europe on the board, and day 1 wrapped up kind of like that. The score was even, and each team ended with 2 points. Now, day 2 was a lot different, and it was all Team World. Highlighted by US Open finalist Taylor Fritz, he defeated the number 2 player in the world, Sasha Zverev. Team World won 3 of 4 matches and took a commanding 8-4 lead heading into the final day. Now, day 3 kicked off, and the target score to win the cup was 13, and with Ben Shelton defeating Daniil Medvedev in the second match of the day, Team Europe needed a miracle to claim the title. Luckily for Team World, Carlos Alcaraz is their team captain, and miracles can happen when Alcaraz is the leader. Zverev defeated Tiafoe in the 3rd match of the day, and it all came down to the final match. Taylor Fritz versus Carlos Alcaraz, number 3 in the world versus number 5 in the world. Alcaraz steamrolled Fritz in straight sets to take home the title, and it was Team Europe's first trophy since the Roger Federer-led 2021 team. Now, next year's Laver Cup will take place in San Francisco. Now to Caden for some JUCO football.
Good stuff, Colton. Now it's time to take a look at community college football's top 5 teams. At this point, it looks like Hutchinson is going to stay on top forever as they are still at number 1. And actually, all these teams are in the same place they were last week. Nothing has changed at all. So going down the list, we've got Iowa Western at number 2, Snow College at number 3, and the Badgers will actually make the long trip from Ephraim, Utah to El Dorado, Kansas this weekend to take on the Grizzlies on ESPN+. Then at number 4, it's still Mississippi Gulf Coast, and at 5, still the Kilgore Rangers. There's a quick look at the top 5 in the NJCAA. We'll see if they change it up next week or if these teams will all hold on to their current positions. Back to you, Addie.
Thanks, Kaden. It'll be interesting to see if Hutchinson stays on top of the JUCO football scene for a third year in a row. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Good Morning KU Sports. Make sure to tune back in next week for even more sports news and catch Playmakers today at 12. Have a fabulous weekend and rock chalk.